I'm deflecting. My sound is just fine. I just feel somehow sharing this. Like, I've never shared this before, like this. And I'm hoping I don't cry on camera. I will not cry on camera. I will not cry. I will not cry on camera. Come on, fun. It's been a while. I posted on a Saturday. It's my birthday on Monday, and while I was reminiscing on my life, I was reminded of the promise I made to God when I was sick that no matter where I am, no matter what I do, no matter the platform or the stage I am privileged to stand on, I am going to tell the world how God healed me of a brain tumor. So I'm just going to take advantage of this platform and put my story out there, put my testimony out there. And I trust that as many who care to watch this video, listen to my story, will be inspired to trust God more, to hope and have faith in God more. Where do I begin? I'll just start from the beginning. I'm not a student of medicine. I'm just going to tell it the way it was, undiluted. Okay? Okay. So, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor during my diploma program. It started like a headache. So, I went to the pharmacy and they were like, it's typhoid. I was like, okay, what should I take? And they gave me ciprofloxacin. While I was taking the medication, I noticed that my eyeball, this black thing, was shifting from its normal position to this other side, like gradually moving to this other side. What, if you're Nigerian, what we commonly know as apas for eye. Like, you're looking at someone and it's as if the person you're looking at this other direction. Like, like I didn't have the courage to snap myself. When this happened, if you are not bold enough, if you've known me like before time and you're not bold enough, you'll not be able to look at me directly. You'll be afraid. So I didn't have the courage to snap myself. I did not have the courage to snap myself. Why I'm saying this is because I can't put an image, but I think I'm going to look for a picture, an old picture that might depict. I think that picture that I showed a little. I think I had started recovering then. Yeah, and I was using glasses, so I think I will look for that picture and put it somewhere here. Okay, so I noticed while I was taking the medication, I noticed that my eye was the black my eyeball, the black ball, was shifting from its direction to this other side. That was not just it. The pains, the headache was intense. I was taking the medication, and at some point I thought, well, this ciprofloxacin is shifting my eye to one side. Let me just stop taking it. So I stopped taking it. I thought it was the drug that was shifting my eyeball. Okay, but that wasn't the case because each day the headache was intensified. Like my head was literally blowing up. And it got to the point where I couldn't sleep in the morning. I don't sleep in the morning. I don't sleep at night. I don't sleep in the morning. I don't sleep in the afternoons. I don't sleep in the evening. I do not sleep at all. As if my head was going to explode. I don't wish this on anybody. Anybody. And I used to feel some kind of sensation in this point of my head. Yeah. Okay. It got so serious to the point my eye was totally gone, like shifted to this point. I went to the hospital for checkup, not for the headache. I went to an eye clinic for my eyes because that period I was writing my project and I couldn't anymore because it was affecting my vision. I couldn't see. I don't see people normal the way they are. I see people into double. I used to see double. Okay, so I went to the hospital for eye checkup, waited for the doctor. I went with my friend Esther. Shout out to Esther. So I went with my friend Esther. So we waited for the ophthalmologist. And then when it was my turn, he asked me, oh, were you born like this? I told him, no, this started happening last week or a few weeks ago. I explained everything to him. I was feeling headache, and then I went to the pharmacy, I went to the clinic, and they gave me ciprofloxacin. I started taking ciprofloxacin, and then this started happening gradually. And then the pain is still there though, but I am concerned about my eyes. Why is my eyes like this? He was shocked. He was like, okay, this is what you're going to do for me. You need to go get an x-ray done. and then come back tomorrow, or just get an x-ray done and then call me. Okay, then I started my journey. First, he asked me when he looked at the x-ray. Okay, my x-ray is here. I kept it. It's kind of old, but I kept it. Done it. This is. Don't laugh at my score. This yours is like this too, though. Okay. So, this is it. So when he looked at the x-ray and he was like, "Where are your parents?" I told him, "Don't worry, just tell me what the problem is." He then said that I had a brain tumor in my brain and it was pressing the nerves connected to my eyes. That was why my eye was like this. I can't do it. I will need to go through surgery, but they don't do that at the hospital where he works. That I'll need to go to Benin, and that he will put some call across. That he was going to put some call across, and that is going to take like millions. Well, all that one he was saying. My brain was, I was just like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Like, how? For Christ's sake, from where? It's not as if I am, yes, I was a student, but my own studentship, I don't know if there's a word like that in the dictionary. I do not stay up at night. Even if I have the exam to write, yeah, I sleep by 10 p.m. Irrespective of the exam I need to write or I'm writing the next day, I sleep by 10 p.m. I rather sleep by 10 p.m. and then wake up early, maybe as 4 a.m. to study. And this is, of course, I've been reading all this. Why? What have I been doing with my life as a student? So why do I have to stay all night to read? I was just considering all these things that I don't do these things. So let's say I stayed up and I've been staying up, so it has affected my brain or something. I've been staying up to read, so it has affected my brain. So all these ones, he was just saying, these were just going through my head. And I was like, okay, even if I want to do the surgery, where will I get the money from? Like, psst, hello? So I cried. I cried. I just told him, thank you. And then I left. That night, hey, Jesus. That night, the kind of pain I felt that night, it was as if my head was going to explode. Like the whole world, it was as if the whole world was on my head. And so I put a call across to him. It was late. It was very late at night. So he now asked me if I was with someone. I said no, except my neighbors. So he asked me to give the phone to my neighbor. No, my neighbors came. Like, my neighbors came. The pain was so excruciating. Told my neighbor to bring me. So when I got there, I was throwing up. I was so weak. The pain, I couldn't sleep. He gave me some drugs so I could sleep. Sleep for where? I could not sleep. Like the drugs will only put me off for like a few minutes and then I'm back up. Nothing happened. The pain was that much. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't sleep in the morning. I couldn't sleep in the afternoon. I couldn't sleep in the evening. I could not sleep because of the excruciating pain I was going through. And then I started throwing up. I couldn't take any food in. He said it was the symptoms of the tumor. I couldn't sleep. So that's the next morning my dad came to where I was. And then I was lying on the bed. Then my dad stood over me and was calling me, was like, Mfon, your father is calling you. I couldn't respond because not because I didn't want to respond to him. I couldn't respond because I didn't have the energy. I was weak. Like, I didn't have the energy to say a word. So I just had to muster all my energy. And then when he was just calling me, I said, that was my response. My response was just, and that was very loud to me. Seriously. Okay, so from there, where I was at the house, they took me to the hospital. I got admitted in the hospital. In the hospital, I was just there taking drugs, all kind of hard drugs to help me sleep, to subside the pains, but it didn't work. Like they will inject me here, give me the one oral drugs, inject me. Like the nurse that was with me, Nancy, shout out to Nancy. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you did for me. She didn't sleep either. She didn't sleep either. She had to wake up in the middle of the night to give me to inject me so I could sleep for another maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes before it's daybreak. So uh, I it was terrible. It was a horrifying experience. When my brother came to the hospital to visit me, he I was just lying there lifeless. The pain was so much that at some point I had to change my prayer point from God correcting my eyes to just taking the pain away. And let me live with the eye. I don't care. What's the worst that can happen? People will just laugh. People will call me a pass for eye. See that fine girl, we get a pass for eye. People will forget that my name is actually Mfon and then start calling me a pass for, or attach their pass for to my name. Mfon a pass for whatsoever. What I did not care anymore. All my prayer now was God should just take away the pain from me. Just take away the pain and then allow me live with the eye. I'll use glasses. Yes, I'll use glasses. The pain was that much. When my brother visited me in the hospital, I was just lying down there lifeless. When he saw me, he was like, what is going on? He called my siblings and was like, Mfon is dying, oh, Mfon is dying. Oh." He called my sibling and was like, Mfon is dying, oh, Mfon is dying, oh. He just started crying. And me, I was like, I now turned. I didn't even have the energy to say anything. I was like, I'm not dying, no, I could not muster a word. I could not muster a word. When people from my church came to pray for me, when they saw me, as I said, if you had known me before this whole thing happened, you will not have the courage to look at me in the eye. If you even try, make her just see how this girl eye be. Let me just see how her eyes are. You just take 1 second glance and then hell no. Like you'll be afraid. So when they came to see me, they were like, people barely looked at me. Seriously. Because at some point it started affecting this other eyes. This other eyes was gradually moving. Not totally, but was moving to this. Why this one was coming this way? This one was, it was as if they were competing. Okay, so they came to pray for me and I could remember the reverend saying, God was praying, and during the prayer he just said, God, it was on a Sunday, God, this girl would have been in your house singing to you today, but she's here and this is happening to her. And that broke my heart. Okay, and a lot of people prayed for me. I told myself I was not going to cry. It's not going to happen. I'm just going to pause this and then and come back. Okay. People prayed for me. People I know, people I don't know. A lot of people prayed for me. My pastor in Port Harcourt had to pay his way all down to Akwa Ibom to pray for me. Like a lot of people prayed for me, and one common thing a lot of people used to pray for me then was, God, this girl sings in your presence. If there is nothing, if there's for whatever reason this is happening to her, use that alone. Just use that alone. It might not be much, but just use that alone to heal this girl. And that's why people say I'm a church girl. I know what this has done for me. So for as long as I live, till forever, till my last breath, I might not know how to sing that much. I might not have the best voice or know how to sing, but I will be there till the very last. So people use that as a point of contact. When God told Hezekiah that he was going to die, Hezekiah told God that, remember what this I have done in your presence. So while others were using it, me in my heart, because I couldn't even say anything, I was also using that to pray as a point of contact. So I was there in the hospital and they just kept on giving me drugs to regain my energy. I remember one of those days when I was conversing with my doctor, Dr. Victor. He told me that he contacted his friend and it's going to be from this million to this million for the surgery. I told him that I will not go through surgery. He was like, okay, so what are you proposing? I told him that, yeah, respect for medicine. I have respect for medicine, but nobody can fix me back. I know some people had gone through surgery and that worked for them, but I had faith that God was going to heal me. I told him that God will heal me of this tumor. He told me, I have faith in your faith. And each time this conversation comes up, he will always tell me, and I keep on telling him that God is going to heal me. He will always say, I have faith in your faith. A few days later, I couldn't use my hands anymore. It was one part of my body was paralyzing. They said it was minor stroke. I couldn't hold anything. I couldn't hold my phone. Couldn't hold my even pen. I couldn't hold pen. All this happened in a space of 2 months. And it was as if it was planned somewhere. Okay, we'll start like this, and then this one will happen, and this one will happen, and this one will happen. So it wasn't something like I had like 3 months or 6 months before the next symptom will come up. So the doctor now proposed that I have to go to Benin, do an MRI. So I went to Benin with Joy. Joy, thank you for all that you did for me. I will never forget. So getting to Benin, they said their machine was faulty, that I couldn't do the scan there at UBTH. So I have to go to Ibadan to do the scan. So the essence of the scan was to know the size of the tumor. So from Benin we went to Ibadan. When we got to Ibadan, they said that they don't do MRI, that I have to do a CT scan instead. So here is my CT scan. So after the CT scan, I took it back, went back from Ibadan, went back. What is going on here? After the CT scan, went back to UBTH. The next morning, when the doctors were going round for their normal rounds, they came to my bed and I explained everything to them. And they were like, okay, where's the CT scan? And I gave it to them. So the lead doctor went through this and then he gave it to the next person. And then the next person gave it to the next person. And they were like, where's the x-ray you did before coming to the hospital? And I showed them and they were like, there is something here, but there is nothing here. I was shocked. And then I remember that I was praying and people were praying for me. And then I responded, you can't find anything in my brain because there's nothing in my brain. I had this faith in God even before that time, but at this point, after hearing that the CT scan was empty, let me say it was empty, like there was nothing in my brain, my faith became radical at that point. I told them, you can't find anything in my brain because there's absolutely nothing in my brain. I was saying all of this with my twisted eyes. Yeah, one of the doctors were now like, so how about your eyes? I was like, it's going to correct. That was where my personal slogan was birthed. I told my doctor immediately. I told him I'm leaving. Like I'm leaving here. And he was like, okay, what's your game plan? I was like, I'm coming back and you're going to get, because he is an ophthalmologist, you're going to get me glasses to cover my eyes. Getting to Akwa State, when I met with my doctor, I showed him the CT scan. He also said, yeah, there's nothing here. And I was like, yeah, there's nothing in my brain. Of course, there's nothing in my brain. For the eyes, it go correct. I went back to school. I started using glasses. I would look for a picture of me wearing that glasses somewhere, and then I put it up somewhere here for you to see. This time, I still couldn't hold my pen, but I had regained my energy. But the pains were still there, and my eyes were still, no, my eyes were still. Getting to school at this point, I stopped taking my drugs, the drugs that I was given to help me sleep, to reduce the pain and then help me sleep at night for a few minutes. I stopped taking those drugs. Yeah, I stopped taking those drugs. I threw them away. And I was like, this is it. God has started working in me. and He will accomplish that He has started. Gradually, I could feel my hands, I could hold my pen, and one morning, I was just standing by my window, looking outside, and my landlord passed by, and I could see him in one piece. I was like, uh, what's happening? I could see Africa in one piece. That was his nickname. I could see Africa in one piece. What is going on? I went to the mirror. My eyes were normal. My eyes were perfect, exactly as you're seeing it right now. I used to tell God that I don't want a testimony where they will be like, oh, no wonder her eyes are like that. No wonder she walks like that. I was whole. God had healed me. I couldn't feel the pains anymore. My eyes were okay. And the pains in my hands and whatever pain that was left was totally gone. And that was the day of my miracle. Each time I remember everything I went through, each time I remember how God came through for me, I just tell myself that God cannot lie. Irrespective of what I might be going through at that particular point, I tell myself that if God can do this, He will surely do this because He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. God no fit run me straight. I used to tell myself that He has proven Himself. I tell people that God cannot lie. There is absolutely nothing God cannot do. Take me to court. I have a receipt. I am the receipt. There is nothing you're trusting God for that He cannot do. In His own time, He makes everything beautiful. I know circumstances, situations can be so hard sometimes that will make you feel like God is not there. Yes, there are some points I feel like that in my life. As if God is not hearing me, like He's totally silent. And like, what's up? The truth is, He is. He's there. He can hear you and He will always come through for you. This is my testimony. This is my story. And I plan to tell it to as many who care to listen. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's my birthday on the 28th on Monday. Pray for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. Bye. I'll see you in the next video.